All right, hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the DJ the Money Coach Financial Expert Series, brought to you by the Seven Spheres of Money. Thank you for joining us for another powerful, heavy-hitting interview. And we can also call this the DJ the Money Coach and Friends show as well, because DJ brought a couple of his longtime friends that I'll let him go ahead and introduce. So DJ, what's going on? How you feeling? And tell the people a little bit about who you are before you introduce our experts for today.
Oh yeah. Hey man, hey, I'm excited, man. The days get better every day. It's get over the hump day for those people who got a job, just over broke. But for us, it's another day in the pom lifestyle. Plenty of money, peace of mind, and freedom is what it's all about. So today, man, this is a well overdue interview going all the way back. We're going back in time till I was a teenager. Just the other day, I was a teenager, and I met this young man, this successful young man, and his amazing wife that I've been knowing, for a quarter of a century. In fact, it might be longer than that, but we don't look that way because we're free, stress-free. But anyway, if you don't know who I am, I'm DJ the Money Coach, and the reason why they call me DJ the Money Coach is real simple. I was just like you, coming out of college, coming from first generation college, attendee, and fortunately I got out of there as well. But here's the purpose of the story real quickly, is that I came out of college, even though I had an accounting background, went to school to become a CPA. No, I did not become one, thank goodness. But I went to school to learn about money for businesses, but I didn't learn about personal finances. Why is that important? It's important because when I got out of school and got my first professional job, I actually went and applied for a home mortgage, and the home mortgage people turned me down. Unbeknownst to me, I had a down payment. I thought I was good, but they told me I had bad credit, and they said on top of that, they said, my man, you got like $60,000 worth of debt, and $40,000 of it, ladies and gentlemen, was consumer debt. It was not student loan. It was straight consumer debt. And I said, okay, no problem. So, but a couple of years later, right after that, I thought I learned my lesson, and I went to go get a business loan. And I got turned down again for a business loan at the same bank. So two things, I should have stopped banking with them, number one. And two, I should have figured out when I first sat down with them, what was the deal with my credit, but I didn't. But at that point, I was at a crossroads and I had a choice. I could either claim victim or I could claim victorious. So what I decided to do is to take the victorious route. And I read a book. It was called The Road to Wealth. And it talked about finances. And all I did really is read one chapter about how credit works in the personal financial circle. Upon doing that, my credit rose to 720 in actually 12 months. And 24 months from reading that book, my credit score rose to 800. And that's not what I'm excited about, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm excited about is that in 2002, applying those principles and owning a business and owning real estate, I actually eliminated all the debt. I did not file bankruptcy because nobody put a gun to my head to take on those credit cards in college. I did it, so I assumed the responsibility, paid all that stuff off. And then right after that, 6 years later, 2008, I became financially independent in America. I had a, six-figure income passively through business, real estate, and other ventures. And I actually, had a seven-figure net worth. And a lot of reason why that happens because these two people right here were co-pilots with me along the journey. And that's not what I'm excited about. What I'm excited about is that I took this information and took it into my neighborhood. And I started teaching people about finances. We created a small little course called Family Finance 101, which taught everybody how money actually works for them and against them. And fast forward now, 20 years later, we've sat down with 20,000 people. We've helped several people become financially independent, and we helped thousands of people become consumer debt free. And along that journey, I hooked up with a good friend of mine, and we actually put a little, business together, and we worked side by side as we were learning about money. And he became, an engineer. Actually, went to Purdue University, got an engineering degree, and his beloved wife, she became an engineer as well. And here's the message to the story before I officially introduced him, is that we all came from what people will perceive wrong side of the tracks. However, we did not allow that to dictate our future, because it's not how you start, it's how you end the game or in the process of the journey. So upon doing that, they began very successful engineering careers, and they worked their butts off. He was an engineer at Hewlett Packard, working in the big three at Ford. and she was an engineer at Sprint doing radio frequency engineering and had great jobs. I mean, most people would kill for these jobs, but that wasn't enough because God put a message in their head that they could be their own agency, they could be their own people. And he started a little investment, deal. And I'm not going to tell you a lot about him. Let him tell the story. And then the beautiful part about it, his wife linked up and shared the dream with him. And unlike these negative images that we have out here in America about, strong Black women who can't get alongside with the man and be, equally yoked, they actually did it. And that's actually the norm in our circle. And I'm going to say it again. That's actually the norm in our circle. So this gentleman is amazing. He's a father of 5. He's been married to his beloved wife. I think it's going on 25 years, something like that. It's crazy. They've been together for a long time, and they built this amazing multi-million-dollar institute and real estate in the community. That's another thing. They didn't go outside the community even to build their wealth. They actually built it inside the community, and we've been linked side by side, technically and legally, since 2005, and helped bring part of that dream to fruition. So without further ado, I want to introduce one of my best friends on the planet and my best friend's wife on the planet that they've seen me through the thick, the thin, and the sustainability of becoming DJ the Money Coach. Without further ado, let me introduce to you the amazing power couple that looks like you and me, Clarence Archibald and his beloved wife, Tonia Archibald. How y'all doing today, buddy? How you doing, girlfriend?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I hope I can live up to that introduction there.
I know, right?
Hey, Muhammad Ali said, it ain't bragging if it got facts, baby. And we got all the factual receipts on this success story. So what's happening, man? What's going on, Tonia? What y'all up to today?
Go ahead, Tonia.
Go ahead. We are, I would just say, you said ladies first. I would just say thank you for that wonderful introduction. We are just so excited to be here and share our story. Hopefully, if it just helped one person, that's helped enough. So we are just excited and can't wait to dig into it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You were about to say, Clarence, as well? We said,
yeah, I just going to say we're excited to be here today. And I just want to say, excuse my Nike shirt I'm rocking today. I was actually in the field and, had to make a little money. I was planning on being at home in the comforts of my house next to my wife to give the interview. But the beauty of technology is I was able to, go ahead and jump on. And now I'm in my office and she's at home. So, again, it also gives us an opportunity to kind of share a little bit of as we're sharing our story. We're at 2 locations that have really helped. One is to help us grow our business, and the other is kind of the perks of our business, so to speak.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm actually excited that you are in the office because obviously the last couple of times I've been there, we came out to the office, we took some shots, let the people know about the progression. So I think it's even more important to show them, what it's about. So with that said, what we normally like to do, we like to, go into a little bit of the backstory. How about, sharing with us, who was Tonia and who was Clarence when they were 14, 15 years of age? Because I knew you when you were 14, 15, and I met Tonia, when you guys, got married when she was in her early 20s. But tell us a little bit about and that inspiration that we talked about coming from a single parent household and why that did not dictate your future.
Well, I guess that was set to me, Tonia, because she was
a 2-parent household. So.
She grew up in the suburbs, so not quite. But so me grew up on the south side of Chicago, what they now deem as the Wild Hundreds, and came up with a single mom that took great care of us. But of course, it was tough. She had to work. She struggled. Initially didn't have a high school diploma. And one of the things that I watched, she went back to school, she got her GED, then she went off to college, got her associate's degree. And each of the steps I watched and saw that with the education, she made just a little bit more money, just a little bit more money. And so with that allowed for me to see that, man, if I get a little more education than she gets, I can make a little bit more money. While in Chicago, growing up, it was a rough neighborhood. Dale actually, he kind of lived in a good neighborhood compared to where we were at, but it wasn't really good, but it was good compared to where we were. And it just so happened that I would say God put certain things in our path. there was a gentleman across the street that lived across the street from me. I don't know if you remember Eric Carr, the lefty that played baseball. So he was a little bit older than I was, and I would say within probably a square mile, maybe 2 square miles. I don't know anybody that went to college. And it just so happened the guy across the street that lived from me went to Purdue. He went into engineering, and he joined a fraternity. And all of a sudden, I saw progress. He would come home, and I would see different things. He got an internship. He got a car. And I said, wow, you know what? And I was probably in 8th grade at that point, 7th grade. I said, I'm going to Purdue. I'm going to be an engineer. And, you know, and I pretty much said I was going to follow his path because I saw his progress. And so my philosophy has always been, as I was growing up, is to watch people. Those people that are going in a bad direction, don't follow them. Those people that are going in a good direction, you follow them. And so that's kind of what led me to Purdue. And the rest of the story we'll go into, but I know you just wanted that background. So I'll turn it over to Tonia now on the west side of Chicago.
Yes. So my story is a little different than Clarence. I was maybe considered a middle-aged family, middle 2-family home. So still on the other side of the track compared to what I know now. My goal was to go to college. I had the footprint. I had a lot of people behind me, and go to college and be an engineer. That's what I remember. And I did that. Met Clarence in college, and after that, graduated and became an engineer, rose up the corporate ladder. But I felt something was missing. At that time, I had started with the family, and I wanted freedom. And so we'll go into that. And so while I had the status, but that didn't mean anything if I couldn't enjoy it with my family. If I was working 60, 70, 80 hours. And I realized that while we had the money, while we had the title, that wasn't enough. Freedom is what I really wanted at the time. And so we'll talk more about that as we go through. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's something, because generally when people get there, you know, they perceive that as freedom because they got that income, they got the status, they got the house, they got the car. Everybody else is patting them on the back. But like you said, Tonia, you know, you're working 60, 70 hours a week and there's nobody at home. So basically your home is actually, you know, being, you know, occupied by ghosts, and the mortgage company is loving y'all, you know, while y'all doing y'all thing. So I think that's so funny because even today, people are still chasing that empty carrot. So with that said, what was it that triggered for, you know, either one of you can answer, what was it that triggered you to say, you know what, this ain't enough for me, even though nobody's accomplished this in my family. Why would this not be enough for you? Because I know it wasn't enough for me either, but why was that not enough for you guys? And you had to achieve more than anybody in your family at that time. Why was that not enough?
Well, I will say, when I graduated from Purdue, I still remember I got this job offer from Hewlett-Packard, Fortune 50 company. And I called my mom and said, Mom, they just offered me $32,000. And my mama almost fell out and said, you done made it. I still remember the conversation because I'm thinking to myself, okay. I was like, man, this is great. You know, until I found out, unfortunately, we as a people, we're always taught, don't talk about money. Don't talk about money. Found out a guy that went to an inferior school, and I hate to say that because Purdue was number 5 in the country at the time when I graduated.
Oh, let's keep it a buck.
He went to an inferior school, but he was second, third generation college. He knew how to negotiate salary. This guy came in at $45,000. I came in at $32,000, and I thought I made it. Some years later, a friend of mine, another African American, he told me, he said, Clarence, and at this time I thought I was the stuff, by the way. He said, Clarence, you're underpaid. And he was a good friend of mine, but we almost fell out that day. And we were at the job when he said it. If he had told me, and if we had been anywhere but at the job, him and I, who knows how that conversation would have went. But I had to keep it professional. And the only thing I could say is, man, you out your mind. He said, go talk to your boss. And I said, well, what am I supposed to tell him? And he was like, go tell him that I told you that you were underpaid. And I was like, man, you're going to get me fired. went and talked to my boss, and you know what my boss did? My boss said, hold on, I'm going to get back with you. I get a call a week later, and he says, Clarence, I need you to come to my office. And I get there, and HR is in the office. All that's going through my head is
about to get
fired from this good job.
Yeah.
Come to find out, HR is in there because I was so underpaid that they had a legal issue, possibly. HR literally told me that I wasn't even on the curve.
Wow.
She said, unfortunately, you're not even on the curve, so I have to give you like 20. I got like a 20% raise that day, and everybody else was getting 2-3% raises. She said, we got to give you a 10% raise for the next 3 years just to get you to where you're at today. And she said, if you become better than you are today, then we're going to have to figure something out because you're so grossly underpaid. And I couldn't believe it. So that's a lesson then for those that decide to stay in the corporate world. Just understand, I think we have to, and that's something maybe, Dale, you can bring on one of these corporate people at some point and talk about that, because I think a lot of us, we're starting lower, and when you get a percentage, you stay low. And some of us just we don't talk about it because we're always taught, don't talk about pay, don't talk about pay.
That's good. That's
so
good.
I wanted to share that, but also in terms of what wasn't enough. We're making this good money. Again, remember, before he told me I wasn't making no money, we thought we were the stuff. We're making money. Tonia and I, we own our own home. We got cars, but we were involved at that point at network marketing, and one of the things that they always talked about was freedom. Only thing that's going through my head is these people are talking about freedom. Is they crazy? Because what do they mean? I'm free. We got free back when Lincoln did the Emancipation Proclamation, right? I don't understand what they're talking about. But they kept saying it. They kept saying it. And then I got around some people that didn't have jobs, and you just started seeing lifestyle, what freedom was. Mm-hmm. And so we started reading books. And one of the books that really, I think, changed my life, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. And ever since I read that book, and I know that's a fundamental, everybody say we read it, but I literally put together a spreadsheet that I started running, and Tonia probably didn't like it as much. I started running our life through his thing. I would put assets, liabilities, monthly cash flow. I put everything on the spreadsheet. Remember, I'm an engineer. And I started really looking at it. And guess what?
We were broke.
We were broke. Dale, you didn't even know that. You was coming to our nice house and thinking we were all doing well. We were broke.
Yeah.
Tonia was a big corporate manager over at Sprint. I was a big-time salesperson at a Fortune 50 company. I had some beautiful suits, some silk ties. I had all the accoutrements, but literally we were broke. And we started making some changes at that point because I understood I needed to get free. And with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I use his definition even today. Freedom is what? Having more income than outcome. And the more income, then you have your expenses and you're free. And that's what we use today as our guiding model. So that's mine. Tonia, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I would say mine is similar. Again, one of the things that we did do along the way is we kind of quit in stages. I didn't quit. When I found out that this wasn't working, my parents thought we were crazy. Clarence making 6-figure, I'm making 6-figure to, stability is what everybody was looking at. And they were like, you all are living a life, And so when Clarence quit, that was, okay, what's really going on? And then when I quit, people thought we were plumb crazy. And so I think that was, why did I do it? Clarence started talking about in terms of pay. I was an engineer in a predominantly white male field. So even though I climbed the corporate ladder, there was a lot that went behind it. And one thing that I did learn, a lot of people talk about stability. I realized it wasn't stability. When we went through our 9-to-5, it was easy firing people or letting people go that wasn't doing their job. But when it got to the point when we were letting people go that were excellent employees, that's not stability, Wow. So at that time, I realized that we were all disposable and that we had to change our thinking. I didn't say, let's quit right now. Clarence and I had a strategy. He quit first. But in the meantime, we always talked about multiple streams of income. So we used that. We wasn't just leaning on our 9 to 5 at that time. We were doing network marketing. We always had something. We had to figure our way on what it was. It ended up being real estate, but we always had something, whether it was network marketing, whether it was whatever, we always had something, more than one income. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize. We laid off people at the snap of a finger. So it's not really stability. So I really wanted to take control of that. And by us being in our own business, we have control of what we can do at that point. So I would say that was mine. And in terms of me having to work 3-4 times harder than my counterpart, that didn't sit well with me either. So that was, and then the last thing, I wanted to do more. I was at Sprint, sure, I impacted lives, but I just felt I needed to impact more lives in our community. And so as we go further, I always tell Clarence, we don't know, God puts us down a path, but I just think that this is our ministry, that we're helping others get homes, we're helping others rent homes, we're helping others make money, we're employing so many people in our community, and so that's very important to us. And so I feel more fulfilled at this point.
Yeah. Hey, Dale, let me just take 2 points there on what Tonia. I want to just piggyback on 2 things. I guess I'll do the first one, which was the whole impact in people's lives, and that one of the things that we had a choice to make as we were building our business, we started having a little success, is who do we hire? And we made a conscientious effort to make sure that we hired the people that lived in our community, that would spend money in our community and would be a part of our community. And so, we've had the blessing or to be able to help a lot of families. So I want to say that, but I also want the people that are listening, something that Tonia said, that we always had multiple streams of income. And I want them to understand it wasn't always real estate. As a matter of fact, real estate was probably our 8th or 9th business. So we did network marketing, 2, maybe 3 different network marketing businesses. I learned a lot in that business. We were personal chefs. We ran a catering business. We opened up a Chicago style restaurant in Detroit, which, by the way, Detroit, they love their Coney Islands, but they do not like their Chicago style food, except for the people from Chicago that are here.
So that was rough.
So we kept trying, and along the way, what happened is we learned how to become business owners. So I want the people that are listening, don't be afraid to fail. It cost us money. I mean, when we got into real estate, guess what? I bought empty lots under the ploy that I was going to build houses. Those empty lots are still empty because that's not the business we eventually found our way in. And so we put our money, we put our time, we put our energy, and we failed. And then we kept going. We failed. We kept going. We failed. We kept going. And finally, God put us where we needed to be at. And then we started having some success. So don't be afraid to fail. And I think that would be, if people go away with nothing else from what we said today, that would be the one message I would love for them to take away. Don't be afraid to fail. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying until you find that which is your destiny.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, go ahead, Ty. You were about to chime in. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. I believe Pip.
There's a lot of things that you guys said that were very important. So the first thing is, it took you multiple endeavors to actually find your pathway. And I think that's so important for people nowadays on social media. You have people jump out here and they claim they're going to get, rich doing one thing. And a lot of times what people don't understand, since we've been in this game, all of us, 20 years, is that when the market is hot, you don't really have to know a lot. You just have to be in the right place at the right time. But that don't mean you're successful. Right. And what do I mean by that? Because the market was hot from 2002 to 2007 in the market. We'll talk about this. And anybody could have thrown something in the stock market. Anybody could have bought a house and made money. but that don't mean they were experts, and that don't mean they were good at what they were doing. And right now, here's the advantage of having done this is we've seen this video, and we're in the same, lane again. And guess what? All this good stuff that a lot of people are getting access to that don't even have the knowledge, but they're just running ignorance on fire. It's going to come to an end. Let's just keep it 100. I'm not hating the players. I'm not hating the game. I'm just telling you facts. So with that said, how did you guys stumble into the piece that actually made your legacy, which is right now? How did that occur? Because it's a great story, because it was accidental, if I'm not mistaken.
So, yeah. So we, again, as we were doing other businesses, real estate was always one that was kind of like, hey, guess what? You read the books. Everybody read the same books. What do all the books say? Get you some real estate, right? Passive income. That's what they talk about. So, of course, we wanted to get into real estate, but who knew how to get into real estate? So what wound up happening is a friend of ours, they had a family tragedy at 2 properties they owned in the city of Detroit. And the wife, she left. And she said, I'm never going back to the house again. Do y'all want to buy it? And it was, again, I think it was God sent, because they knew we had been talking about trying to do something. And she was like, hey, you guys can buy it. So our first deal we went into, we go and we buy 2 properties inside Detroit. We bought the properties at closing. We walked away with like $20K per property on our very first deal. And then we started cash flowing those properties. And we was like, wow. And then at the same time, my wife, y'all heard her say she want more. So at that time, she convinced me to visit one of her friends out in the new subdivision that they were building. I'm a good husband. I pacify her. I'm not buying a house. I'm living where I'm living at. All I know is by the time I left, I signed papers to buy a new house.
Yeah.
Well,
on Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know how I got you out the house on Super Bowl Sunday.
So on Super Bowl Sunday, I'm signing papers. So we buy it. When you buy new construction, there is no contingencies on if you sell your old house or not. It's you buying new construction, you're buying. So now we have 2 houses. The market done took a little dip. What do we do with the second house? Well, we decided to rent it out. So that's kind of how we started. And then what happened was the 2 properties are going to the next block. There's a property for sale. Hey, we don't know any better. Let's buy it. The first deal went well. Let's buy that. Then we look across the street. And here's a funny story. I call up my wife and I tell her, hey, babe, it's a house over there. We're going to buy. I put the offer on the house. She didn't see the house. Purchased the house. We close. I get it financed and everything.
Yeah, I'm signing paper.
She signed all the paper. Right after closing, we go over to the house. This house is literally, there's no siding on the house. The roof is gone. There's no kitchen. There's no bathroom. We get in front of the house and first she calling her parents and she's saying, we buying a house. My husband is buying a house. Oh my gosh, my husband is this, my husband is that. We buying a house. We get in front of the house. The first thing she did, she looked at me and said, you spent my money buying this house? so that became my very first real rehab project. And we worked our way. At that point, we didn't have a clue of what we were doing.
Nothing.
We didn't have a clue. And so we just kind of worked our way through it. We lost a lot of money. I think I did the roof twice. We did the porch 1.5 times. The kitchen floor got done a couple times. We just worked our way through it. But we just kept going. And eventually, we got that house, and by the way, that was in 2003.
Yeah, it had to be.
And that house is still in our portfolio, by the way. So since 2003 till today, we've been getting anywhere from 750. The market up and down. At one point, we were getting 850. At one point, we were getting 650. Today, I think we're getting 750 for the house. But it's been pretty good over the years, if that makes sense. That's been, since 2003, that's been almost 20 years. And that property is still making money, and that same roof that we did is on that house. The same siding we did is on the house. We probably painted it a few times, but for the most part, the core of the house is what we did on our first rehab. And then from there, you know, we did another rehab, and then this guy, you know, I get a phone call from Dale saying, "Man, what are you guys doing?" And we started sharing with him what we were doing, and he said, "Man, you know what? I'm coming down there."
Right.
And whenever Dale say he coming down there, now I love my Dale. We've been knowing each other since we was little. But when Dale say he coming down, he not just coming for a friendly visit. So Nick, no. He coming to put some business in place. You found that out probably already. But he came down and he's like, "Let me tell you what I got an idea of." And he started talking about this system. And it really made us start thinking about, instead of us just haphazardly putting these things together, it made us have to start putting it together systematically. And Tonia and I both being engineers, it made sense. And Dale, you could talk about the system that we put together, because what we wound up doing is we really wound up putting together a full scale, you know, system of where we brought people through, and like I say, Dale will talk a little bit more about that. But the main thing that Tonia and I got out of that is we start putting together systems on how do you go and rehab a house. You know, what's the process? You know, because it's a science, and you know, once you get the science to it, you know, we went from that first one back in 2003 till today, we're over 150 rehabs, all in the city of Detroit, and so. And all those 150 properties are currently in our portfolio. I shouldn't say that. There's probably a couple that are not. But for the most part, out of those 150, the majority are still in our portfolio. We're still managing them, and we're still making money every month. And since I've been in my office, you guys have maybe heard some background noise. What that was is somebody was dropping checks in the mail slot. You know, no,
that's all right.
But I'm serious. It was about 3 people. I can see the doorway from where I'm at, and it's been at least 3 people that dropped checks, and they can't see me, but I can see them, and they've dropped checks in the mail slot from a couple of those places that we've rehabbed.
Man, dude. So all right, so a lot of great nuggets. So here's the question I'll pose to you, Tonia. So what was it that made you stay the course? Because 9 out of 10 times, you know, especially a Black woman, based on these negative images, would have hit the bricks when you saw this house that your husband signed, sealed, got you signed paperwork. It was just a frame. So what was it that had you stay the course with your man at that time? So we can teach these young ladies out there that you got to be locked in with your spouse, because it's important. Because you had a dream, and you know he was trying to do the right thing and make a better way for you, not only you, but your children's future, which you're now doing an amazing job at that. So what was it that triggered you to not have that jerk reaction, say, "You're an idiot"? You know,
I would say when I saw the house, I was like, "What is this?" So, but why did I stay? I had no choice at that time. We went through it together, and I would say that's the good thing about Clarence and our story is we just, you know, locked hands and said, "Hey, we're gonna get through this." And when we kept going and kept going. Now, we have had in the past where we wanted to go into different directions with our business, and we can talk about it in terms of property management, but we weighed out each option and we're going to roll together, you know? So, and it's easier that way. So I just say we grew together. One thing is when he started learning about something, when he started reading books, guess what I did? I started reading books because I needed to make sure that we were rock steady in a path. So I can't say it's always been easy. But I know that, hey, one little success and another, it's like, okay, hey, we're doing this and we're going to do it together. So,
man,
I know that's not the culture we live in. The culture we live in is saying, hey, we independent and all of that. And that is true. But when you have a spouse, if you all can do it together and grow together, it's just that much easier. So.
Yeah, I mean, we live in today with this cancel, culture, where I think 2 things. Number one, I think you had a model because your mom and dad were married together for a long period of time. So one, you had a model to reflect on and get some counsel about, decisions that appeared to be bad, but they were right intentions. Number 2, I think the most powerful nugget is that you said you read the same thing your husband was reading, so you can understand the mindset. In today's economy and in today's world, people are not doing that anymore. They don't even understand the magnitude of their influences, even be it externally or internally or subliminally, that you are being programmed if you're not programming yourself.
Right.
So the simple fact you had the mindset, and I think a lot of that came from the system we were in. Credit to the network marketing system we in, because it said, hey, 3 things, don't be unequally yoked. Read the same things that your spouse or your significant other read, and have the same plan that you can work on, so you don't be fighting each other internally. So that's critical in that, because just not only is this a success story about finances, but it's a success story about the Black family, which is trying to be annihilated in today's society. Let's just keep it real. They're attacking the Black male to take him out of the house and make the woman the whole provider and the matriarch, when that's not how God intended it. And if you don't like what I'm saying, that's your problem. But these are facts, okay?
And you're saying it right. And I also have to say, and is me coming from corporate, and coming and being a leader in corporate, and then having to come home and being a business partner with my husband. It was some things I had to learn, because I'm the boss. But at home, we know our alignment, and I'm not, he is the head of the house, and so I had to, a lot of women don't like this, and it's used so wrong. And it's submission is something wonderful, not submitting to everything he do, but submitting to our goal to go to as one. And that's another thing. As a business partner, as a partner, as a couple, or whatever, sitting down and realizing where you want to go. Write those short-term and long-term goals. That's just not just with in a relationship. That's with a business. That's with anything. Individually, that's so important. You need to write it down. Know where you're heading. Know where you want to go, because you can't get there if you don't know where you want to go. So very important. I will have to say, I found a notebook that Clarence and I wrote some short-term and long-term goals, and I keep everything. I packed it up. And then I opened it up one day, just looking, and I said, wow, it was a few years later, we had checked off everything on there. So it's just so important, and it motivates you as well. It motivates you to go even further by just writing it down, being locked in hand with your partner, with your business partner, and moving forward and checking off those goals. So,
man, and that's amazing. So 3 things stand out to me here. Number one, the word submission literally means under control. It doesn't mean under somebody's thumb. Subservient means under somebody's thumb. So let's just dismiss that first and foremost. Secondly, you said your business partner, because even in corporate America, there's partnerships and there's a span of control. There's a CEO, CFO, COO, CTO, there's directors, there's managers. So you understood the role that you played to actually help bridge that indifference that you didn't even know you had from a business standpoint. And now, as we can move forward, we can talk about why we're having troubles. And it's another important thing, you're serving your community as well as a great example. That's critical. So people probably write, well, man, talk about the money. Well, no, I'm going to talk about the family piece, because if you didn't have that prosperity in terms of being on the same page, it don't matter how much money you would have, it will be gone and you will be broken apart. And that's what society wants now in the Black community. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you, because I'm free, so I don't care what you think about this, but these are facts. But at the same time, we've got a strong Black couple that have ups and downs like anybody else, but you had a commitment, you had goals, you had measurement sticks. And I know personally that you have exceeded far beyond your imagination, the stuff you had on paper, because you weren't trying to get rich, get quick. That's another problem with today's society. Everybody wanted microwavable. They want the rewards without doing the work. So talk about that, Clarence, of how you didn't allow yourself to get out thinking that, oh, wow, man, I'm making it happen. And now we're just going to enjoy all these, successes, and we're going to go out and just show them, because we didn't live in the internet world that we live in now. Why is that important to be, having gratitude and not trying to, flaunt everything that you got?
Well, I think the big thing is you got to know what's important to you. And I think, one of the things that was really important to us was freedom. and at one point I still remember back when I got my first luxury vehicle, my wife made me get it.
I did.
And I did not, I was like, hey, I'm cool. I could drive my purple minivan. You remember that, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I said, I'm cool. I don't need.
I remember that Chrysler.
Yeah.
Hey, it was a Chrysler. I said, hey, we in Detroit. I'm rolling. I'm good. And she said, look, we've had a little bit of success. There are people that are watching, and you have to also be an example. And she got me a Lexus was my first luxury vehicle, and it just for me, it was I was like, what, I didn't need it. I was perfectly content with what I had, but my goal was freedom, and so and that was our goal. I remember asking my wife. We were at a crossroads back in 2006, and I was working in the corporate world. We were doing our real estate, and it became too much. We had to make a decision. And I asked her the question. I said, what do you want? We've been talking about freedom ever since our network marketing days. We've been talking freedom. We've been on the road. We used to drive to the conferences 8 hours in the snow. We made a commitment to freedom. And I said, what do you want? Do you want freedom or do you want security? And, if I'm sure, Dale, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but, realistically, my wife said, I want both. and that was the time when that's when I believe leadership kicks in. I could have said, okay, and I could have sat down and made a bad decision because technically we were both doing well in the corporate world. So technically, she was making a nice 6+ figure. I was making a nice 6+ figure. And so we were both on the path she was on the path to become some vice president of engineering. I was on the path to become a sales manager or whatever I chose to be. So I could have said, you know what? The way I'm going to give you that is through us continue working. We'll be quote unquote free by American standards. Free as in the sense of we have all the accoutrements of financial freedom, and then we will be secure because technically, we would have our 401k and we'd have this and that. But instead, I said, you know what? You're going to have to give up security for a short time period in order to become free. And once you're free, you'll be secure forever. And not only will you be secure, but your children and your children's children will be secure. And with that, you know what she did? She said, okay. She gave me a look and she said, okay. And right after that, I went in and I set myself up to be able to retire from the corporate world. Some people are listening. They're saying, well, why did you retire instead of her retiring first? Well, I was the one that was driving the real estate business.
Right.
If she had been the one driving the business, she would have been the one to lead. Now, with this said, during this whole time period, we have been positioning ourselves. So we started cutting back. We would go on the one week family vacation, but we wasn't doing much more than that. We were doing the least amount that we could. We wasn't quite at the Dale extreme where we were unplugging everything in the house, but yeah, he does it. If he hasn't told you that yet, Nick, he do. But we were really cutting back, and we got it to a point where we could pretty much run our household. And I know it sounds crazy. Tonia was making a 6+ figure, and yet we were running our household on 2 incomes. And so we were able to scale back to where we could run our income on Tonia. And then what that allowed me to do is walk away and really focus on building our business. And by this time, it goes back to what I said. We had failed enough that we knew how to build a business. And that's the reason why it's so important to continue to fail and fail and fail, because every time you fail, you learn something. And what we learned is how to build a business. I always tell people, if our business went to 0 today, we can build it back up to where it's at because we know how to get it there. We know the success on how to do it. So that was kind of, how we went about it. But my wife was there. I walked away from Hewlett-Packard in 2006. We're working with Dale. Dale started feeding clients down to Detroit. I got my consulting business, so business is going great.
Mhm.
And then what happens? Go ahead, Dale. Say them 4-letter words. What year was that?
2008. Everybody knows that.
Everybody know, right? All your listeners know what happened in 2008. I'm gonna turn it over to you, Dale.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know what? That's a great setup. So what I want to do, I want to take us back down memory lane. Nick, so what Clarence and Tonia were talking about is that one thing we had the inspiration, we had leaders that we saw free. And then when we started understanding how business systems work, and when I came down to Detroit, I said, look, Clarence, I said, look, Tonia, I said, I think I figured something out that we can all do some things together. And I always tell people this, and they think this is a brag. I said, man, we were so far ahead vision that the people are doing now that if 2008 didn't happen, and me personally didn't panic about the real estate business, I believe we'd be billionaires. And I'm going to show people why I say that and why I know for a fact, because here's a receipt. Nick, cue this up and show them a flashback in the past.
What we're going to do is show you how to take those capital assets to the system. And then nobody on our team is not a real estate owner. I'm going to tell you the big picture stuff because people like the big sexy stuff, but the real trick to wealth is doing the basics. I'm going to be real with you. I ain't going to do a deal unless I make money. But I'm going to make sure we can make money together side by side. Okay?
I personally never thought I could invest or would invest in commercial real estate, but I see myself doing that with Dale, with Clarence, with Olita. They make that happen. They make that possible. They make that dream come alive. And I'm going to be able to do that.
I have initially started with investment in real estate, and I've had a return already within the last 3 months.
They do all the work for you. They answer all of your questions. They provide you with literature. They provide you with facts, research, etc. So I'm really impressed by the team. They're there to save you money and make you money. And that is, pretty exciting, I would think, for anyone.
Wow, that's incredible. How can this get better? They say, go buy more. I called Dale. Dale said, go buy more. So that's what I did. And so
I actually purchased my first property with no money down. And I also have $20,000 of equity already in that property, which is huge. I mean, who else can say that with the first property?
We've got about 20 seconds left. Watch the last 20 seconds. But this is just showing you what we were.
2007,
The
California.
receipts, baby.
So Arlene took a chance and invested money with us after coming through our course, 3 Steps to Success. And she's now made over a 40% return on her money. And today, she just made how much, Arlene?
$5,000.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
I'm extremely proud of Lisa because she didn't own any real estate at all. And she took the hope and faith that we were who George says we were, and she allowed us to earn her trust. And for doing that, she closed on her first property just about a week and a half ago. She received how much in equity?
$20,000.
$20,000. We're closing on her next property next Monday, and she's going to receive how much?
$20,000.
How much did you spend out of your pocket?
Yeah. I can't even tell you, but less than that.
This is real deal. So we just got her first mortgage payment for her property, which we put the tenant in for her, and it's for $750. Can you give her a round of applause? Thank you very much. Well, guys, my time.
There you go. There you go. So
What we're going to do is show you how to take the.
So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. That was back in 2007, and the houses were the houses that Clarence and Tonia Archibald put together in a little itty bitty system that we were smart enough to come together as strong Black people and go across the country, state to state, you know, to do that. And in 2008 hit, we were killing it. I mean, we were weekends making $60,000, $70,000 at these conferences. Real talk, across the country. And 2008 came upon us. I had a lot of real estate with Clarence. I was doing mortgage banking, financing the houses. And since I wasn't really a real estate guy, and most of the people that we brought to the table were six-figure income earners that looked like us, Black professionals that had good income, good assets. And then 2008 hit, and all of a sudden we panicked. And I said, hey man, I'm liquidating. I'm out of here. And our clients was like, hey man, we're liquidating. But to the wisdom of Clarence, and maybe just because part of it was wisdom and part of it he didn't have a choice. So part of it, so the market crashed, and then we started liquidating, and we had houses where people don't realize we were building houses at 40, 50,000 that were worth 100, 80, 90. We were making 30, 40, $50,000 on these houses every 30, 45 days. Facts. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Clarence, but we were doing the post-construction loan, the hard money loan. We were refinancing. Clarence was putting tenants in, finding a property. Tonia was doing her pit on the real estate side, and then the system came together. Built a construction company, y'all did. Y'all built a property management company, and it was all coming to play. And this is why I be telling people that you don't know what we are able to do because you ain't seen us on this internet, but we were doing it real talk. And these people out here today that are coming out here claiming they're making millions of dollars, if we would have stayed that course, our part, not you guys, but our part, we'd be billionaires. It's just that fact. So I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you tell the part of the story and why you guys stayed the course. And part of it is because you didn't have a choice because of your situation at the time, right?
Well, Dale, I'm going to disagree with you. We had a choice because remember, 2008, Tonia was still in the corporate world. I was only 2 years out. So at the end of the day, I still had, you know, the one thing I had my Purdue degree. So I could have always went back to the corporate world if I chose.
Right. You could have went back to the corporate
world. But realistically, the reason why we stayed the course is, again, everything that I've read, and some of it is bad, but it says Black people, we buy when things are high and sell when they low. The people that are rich, they buy when it's low and they sell when it's high. And so, you know, I read books like The Millionaire Next Door, you know, and so that's the reason why, you know, I had to go get my one pair of khakis and, you know, my loafer shoes that I don't wear, but I got them in my closet because that's what The Millionaire Next Door has typically. So what I did was I talked to Tonia and I just said, hey, you know what? We need to go and start buying. We need to buy. And you know what? Called up Mr. Dale Duransburg. He was like, man, I got to get out. I was like, man, I'll give you such and such money for that house. Dale was like, all right, I got to get out. Cool.
Right. Yeah.
That house is still in our portfolio, by the way. What we getting for Santa Rosa now, Tonia? That what is a Section 8?
That was 205 Santa Rosa, right?
So Section 8. What are we getting?
800. Yeah.
Like $800 a month. That was since 2008 when Dale sold it to me. And he got scared and he basically gave it away, for lack of a better way. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, I did. I tell the facts. I gave it away for pennies on the dollar.
We have to say that it wasn't like we said, you know, it was, we were nervous. It was scared. It was a scary time for everyone. So, but we just said, you know, we're going to stick to it. We're going to stick to it. And one reason why Clarence he did have a choice, but Clarence had been free before. It was hard for him to go back. Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Mentally, coming from where we came from.
Yeah, it was hard. Right. Yeah. So as Clarence would say, we just stood in there. And at that point, before that, we were leveraging, you know, using like hard money. And after that, at this time, properties you can get them pennies on the dollar. And so we had cash. So that changed. What seemed like was so, it turned our whole portfolio, our company around, because what we started doing is we started paying cash, and now we have no mortgages, we didn't have any of that. So that was a pivotal point to our business today.
Oh, it's a seminal point. So share with them, because see, sometimes people always want to hear the shine. let's keep it a buck with them. Tell them about the thing that you had to overcome from 2008, 2009 in terms of the properties. Because like you said, I sold properties back. My client sold properties back. And I know that there was a little bit, even though you had the luxury of having another 6 people come to your house, there was still a challenge that most people would have went back and folded their tails and went, because you had to let go some properties too. So
we had to let go some properties.
Right.
Our credit, and what happened with that?
Keep it a buck with them.
Yeah. We had to let go of some of our properties. We actually went back to the bank and said, hey, what happened is the rents, because the rents started going down and it didn't make sense. You know, we were upside down and it didn't make sense. I was going to pay tenants to be in our property. It just didn't make sense. So we actually tried to go back to the bank on some of our properties and say, hey, you know, and negotiate. Some did, am I right, Clarence? And some didn't.
Well, just to put this thing in full perspective, we had 9 properties with mortgages on it in 2008. And all 9 of them went into foreclosure. We had to make that quality decision, and we had to let those properties go. Now, one of the things that happened is the banks, because they were foreclosing so bad, they actually came back and said, hey, no, we don't want the properties.
Right.
And so we said, well, we're not going to pay you any money unless you refinance these notes based on the current value, because all 9 of ours were current when this 2008 happened. But then we said, we're not going to take the brunt because you guys wrote bad loans. And the banks, they didn't want to hear it. So we said, okay, well, out of those 9, I want to say 3 foreclosed, and the other 6 just kind of walked away. The banks walked away from it. And so during this time period, we were still controlling the properties, but we still had this mortgage over our head, but we wasn't making mortgage payments. And so we just did some strategic things. But at the same time, our credit went from, you know, from 700s down. We were probably, you know, they probably was like, don't ask. We didn't have a score at that. I mean, you know, I don't even know. Do you go in the 400s?
No, it didn't go that far, but it went.
We took a hit, and so our credit was beat up, and we, you know. But the good thing about it is, again, we were able to still control those properties. So now
you saw a new opportunity in business.
Our cash flow was out of this world, because we're like, man, look at the cash flow we're getting on these things if we don't have to pay mortgages. So all of a sudden we started saying, you know what, we need to buy right now, and we started buying properties. The young lady that you saw in the video, we wound up buying 2 of her properties and put in our portfolio. And, you know, we just started buying and buying and buying. But now we had this portfolio with no mortgages. So now all of a sudden we looked at it and said, wow, this here is good. This is the way we need to do business. And so over the last, you know, pretty much from 2010 until today, we've been able to build a portfolio. We have 34 properties. None of them have mortgages. We're 34. We get 35 whenever you go ahead and get this other deal closed. But we have 34, about to be 35 properties. None of them have mortgages on them. And out of those, 32 of them are cash flowing. And so, you know, do the math on your own on what that creates. And I would just say, without even putting numbers on it, I can just say the numbers spell FREEDOM, freedom. And that's why we're able to be free.
And then also, I do want to put something on the timeline that I didn't really think about it. So 2008 happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
We had to pivot. We had to change everything that we knew how to do at the time. And then in 2010, that's when I left corporate. So in 2 years, we pivoted, and he was free, and then I became free.
Wow. So if you don't mind me asking, what were your ages when you actually became free in America and you had earned your freedom?
Well,
you were, huh?
I was 25, so you know.
You was how old?
I was 25, and Tonia and I are the same age.
Oh, he's trying to say. No, I was 40.
Wow.
You was
39, actually 39.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you were 35, and she was 37, or 39.
Yeah, that's right.
You were completely free, debt-free, strong 6-figure passive income, millionaires on paper net worth, and Black in America. Oh my goodness.
In 2010, you know what? We were free. We had the 6-figure residual income, but the properties had no value. But that's okay. But today, everything you said holds true for sure. And those values are going up to every day. Those values are going up and going up.
And one key thing that I always like to say is, you know, and I know a lot of people say failure, and we failed a lot. But one of the things, one thing that Clarence and I try to say is, okay, we went through a lot of these failures. If you know us and you're whatever, we're going to try to cut that short. We look at our nephew. He kind of went down the same path, and my son. Why go through the same mistakes in real estate that we went through? You're not going to go through it. I'm not going to let you go through it. And we're going to cut that. And have you.
Tell me a story about your nephew and your son, because here's why I emphasize to them the beauty of the 7 spheres of money and connected, because we're connected. So here's what happened for me personally. In 2015, I'm talking to my mentor who Clarence knows, Curtis, and Curtis was actually brought at the beginning of the business and said, hey, man, it's a nice business, but if you and Clarence really believe in it, put your own money into it. So I said, all right, man, cool. We're sitting down in Southfield at our REO company that Clarence is giving business to. Clarence, I know you remember this. We sitting in there, and my deal is, we like the mafia, baby. If I'm giving you business, you need to be giving me business. So I just sat across the table, and that dude drawing out the stuff on the chalkboard, and I said, hey, man, how many referrals you gonna give Clarence and I so we can put some people in these houses? And that dude was like, referrals to y'all? I'm not giving y'all no referrals. I said, Clarence, I use some profanity. I said, hey, we won't be getting another one of my dollars. And if he ain't getting one of my dollars, I don't know how you gonna get your dollars, because I'm up out of here. And Clarence was like, well, dude, how we gonna finance this? I said, well, guess what? I'm gonna have you 50 stacks to finance these next houses in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yep, right over there on Northwest Highway. I remember. Yep, definitely.
Yep, and the reason why I say that is because when people are feeding off of us and they're not sharing, reciprocal with us, that's bad business. Right. But now that we got to there, so once we start funding these properties and start seeing the magnitude of how fast it could grow, and then we made our mistake to get out, I made my mistake, and then Curtis said 2015, I'm at the Pacquiao Mayweather fight in Vegas at Curtis's his condo, big, beautiful condo, because he was freed long time before any of us. And he just sat down with me and said, look, dude, you need some more passive income. And here's a tip. I get advice from people who continue further down the road to me. So if you don't get that on the way home, hopefully you'll get it. So I'm showing him my finances. I'm saying, hey, here I am. Here's who I am. I got more children, that I got to take care of. And he said, look, man, you need to get on the phone. You need to call Clarence, and you need to buy some property. And I was like, man, I don't like real estate. He said, well, tell you what, if you don't like doing that, then don't come hang out with me no more. Because this is the life that I live that you're benefiting from, and I'm telling you what to do, so don't come hang out no more. Real facts. So I got on the phone. I called you up. I said, hey, man, I got some money. I need some property. So with that said, you guys had that model that even though the houses were undervalued, but the cash flow, which Robert Kiyosaki talks about, is king. Talk to us about that, how you brought that system, and then share with us some of the successes that you've had by the system that you guys put together, the system that we have that enables people to shortcut the proper way, because we did all the hard work. We went through the hard times, and we stayed and got better and even freer. Let's talk to those if you can for us.
Go ahead, Tonia.
You could go ahead, Clarence. Go ahead.
So in terms of the way that we really did is we started once we really got the system in order, we really put together our consulting, and we started going out to people we know. And and Dale, actually, you were one of the first ones to actually jump in and really saying, hey, look, the model has changed. We're no longer doing the financing part. It's a cash basis. But if you've got some cash, you need to be getting involved because of the cash flow. And we started putting together models in terms of how much return on investment and things like that. And we were getting properties. I think your first one, Dale, what are you, about 17, under 20K all in?
Oh, yeah.
So if you think about that, where in the world can you buy a house for under 20K all in? And we started.
We got 3 for under 40. I'm like,
I know.
Three properties.
Exactly. So we started telling people, hey, look, you need to come down to Detroit. You need to invest, and let's start setting up the cash flow. And we at that point we had a system put in place whereby we would do the consulting, we would do the renovations, and we would even manage the property, and then we would even help you acquire that property. So. And in this whole time period, by the way, Tonia didn't say, but she got a real estate license, and now she's a broker to allow for us to be able to do everything we need to do from a real estate perspective and make sure that we have all of our paperwork for the property management. So we really started putting that system that we initially started back in 05, Dale?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we really,
our first meeting in my little small office on 39th Street.
And yep, that's right. And then so what we did was we reinvigorated that system. And I would say it's probably more of a hybrid of that system because there's a couple components that we didn't put in play that Dale had. But we really took that and we started growing with it. And one of the guys that I like to use as my example is my nephew.
Right.
So
talk about that, man. It's amazing.
Yeah. So we're in Chicago. My son is trying out. He wanted to go play basketball for UFC. So we're there watching him. My nephew come to watch his cousin play, and we're talking. And I'm telling him about what we're doing. Now, my nephew played Division I basketball, real good. All I know is, all of a sudden, as I'm talking to him, he stops watching the basketball, and he starts really engaging. Like, man, you mean I can get this, and that? And I'm like, let's watch my son. We came here to watch him, not talk business. And from that moment on, he calling me, hey, can I get in? Can I get in? Can I get in? And then I just told him, I said, here's what you need to do. And so my nephew was a teacher in Chicago Public Schools. And so what he did was he listened. I said, hey, here's what you need to do. You need to be able to position yourself when the auction come around to be able to pick up 4 properties. We're going to put them together. And then you got to do something that most people aren't willing to do. He was like, what? I said, you got to be able to take that cash flow and put it in the bank and don't touch it until the next year. Because most people, they get cash flow, and what do they instantly do?
They go spend it.
They go spend it. Not only that, they put it in their lifestyle.
Right. They go flaunt it. They showing all my successes.
So they create bills on their cash flow before they're ready. But I told him, I said, you need to sit it there, and we're going to buy more. So the first year he came in, he bought 4 properties. We got those 4 properties up and running for him. He started cash flowing. He's making about $500 per property. So he's making $2,000. Guess what? $60,000 at his job. After a year, he's making $24,000 on passive income. That's a third of what he's making from going to work every day. Well, he's a smart guy. So what does he do? He put all that money went into the bank. He added onto it because he said, you know what? He said he didn't go out on no dates for a year. He put all his check from being a teacher in the bank. He came back to the auction. That second year, I think he bought 8 properties that second year.
Mm-hmm.
We wound up getting those properties together. By year 3, he was making more money, passive income, than he was being paid at Chicago Public Schools. Guess what he did? He decided, he said, man, I'm going to do it one more time. So he put all that money. So again, he didn't go out and flaunt. So he's making $100,000 almost. I think it was like 88. I had to get my spreadsheet, but I think it was 88,000 around there, plus his 60 that he's making at the school. Now, with that said, Dale, you have to have a course on this. That 80 he was making from the real estate was a whole lot more from the 60.
Oh,
because he didn't have to pay taxes.
Yeah, with the taxes,
you do got to pay taxes.
Man, that was like $130,000.
Yeah, he physically got 80K, whereas his job, he probably only physically got 40.
Yep.
He said they made 60 by the time they take out taxes and Social Security and all that kind of stuff. So he had in essence doubled his income. And so what he did was he put as much money as he can, and he came back to the auction that next year, and I think he bought like 14, 15 properties. Mm-hmm. And year 4, he was 30 years old. He retired as a public school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick's a school teacher, by the way.
Yeah, school teacher. He retired. walked away. They said he's crazy. He was like, well, why am I crazy? I'm making 3 times the amount of money on passive income that I'm making at school. And then he just started, he felt that he got the freedom bug. And he started traveling with me and Tonia, and because we told him, and I made him do the thing because he was driving around in a Dale's Duransburg special. If anybody know about Dale, he drove. What was that car you drove, man? You used to drive the car from Chicago to Michigan, and I used to be scared every time. And then my wife helped him out and hit it, crashed it for him because he was driving that thing, and it had to be hanging on by a straw. But that's what my nephew was driving. I made him go by. I said, "Hey, look, you're in this business. You're trying to progress. You want to do some things." Made him go out and buy a car. He went out and bought his first asset. And I said, but you're not going to buy it.
Right.
Your business is going to buy it.
Exactly.
And now his car is in his business name. The cash flow from his business is going, and it doesn't. And so that was kind of a quick story for him. But again, he's living a life now. My son has a few properties, and he actually works for us. Right now, he's in Mexico on a 3-month. I don't know, good to be free tour or whatever.
Right.
The cool thing is my nephew, because he was free, guess what? He flew down there for 2-3 weeks and hung out with him. That's the kind of stuff when we talk about setting up.
Living that coming to American life.
Yeah, they really are. Amazing everything. But and then I do want to piggyback on Tarek, our son. He was in college. Out of college, it was hard for him because he already had 5 properties before he even graduated. I think he's at six now. So we're talking about $3,500, $3,600 a month, just off a property straight. He's 22 years old. So, and what he did was he just followed what we did and just kept going and going, not touching it, putting it in. I think he's splurging a little now, but just a little bit. But hey, if he didn't want to work, he was living comfortably off of his properties.
Yeah, he went into one of the bank interviews, and he interviewed with them, and they said, "Well, we're willing to offer you $40,000 a year." And he was like, "How many hours y'all want me to work for that $40,000?" And they were like, "Well, it'd be a full-time position, salary, so you'd be somewhere between 40 and 60 hours a week." And he was like, "Well, I'm making $40,000 by not working at all." Let's just say he never took that job. That was, and I told him it's going to be very hard for him to do interviews because with them offering them, if you offer me $50,000, I got 40 for not working, and you want me to work 50 for working, it was tough. And his interview, but he went in his interviews with a different mindset. Most of the people went in there like this with their suits and ties all. Yes, sir. My son kind of went in like this, like, okay, so what are you guys going to do for me? It's just a different mindset when you're free. It's a different mindset when you go to that meeting and you don't need that person on the other side of the table. And it's a whole different mindset. You get to negotiate differently that way.
Man, 2 words come to mind: economics and leverage. Emphasis on leverage, which is what we need to have. I mean, man, we're gonna have to do a part 2 to this. So what I want to do is real quickly in the next 2 to 3 minutes, because we're a little bit over, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to tell the story. I should have realized this is a 2-part scenario because we got a lot of successful history together. Tell us, about the name of the business. Tell us about how it expanded, and how we can chime in and participate in this beautiful system that you guys have put together, and what you're excited about.
Okay. Clarence, go ahead.
So we're Great Lakes Property Management Group, LLC, based out of Detroit. Currently, our revenues are somewhere around $1.8 million per year in revenue. And what we've done is we've created what we call a womb-to-tomb system by which we help people find properties if necessary, and we renovate those properties for them. and then we manage the properties to create cash flow. And right now, that's the name of the game: is cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. We'll get some equity. We'll get the equity play down the line, but cash flow is really the name of the game. And then because Tonia is a licensed broker, she'll help you in terms of with the disposal of the property in terms of on the back end. And so what we're mostly excited about right now is, again, as Tonia mentioned, my son, while he's building his portfolio, he's taking that knowledge that he got from school. He's a finance major, and he's coming into Great Lakes, and he's really revamping our system. And all the, as an outsider looking in, he's able to see the things that we need to improve for growth. And so I'm excited because, Tonia and I, we're getting to a point where we just bought a new home. And, the exciting part is, we don't have any income, so to speak, because we're business owners. And, we don't want to pay, we want to pay the least amount of taxes and make the most amount of money, but we're still able to buy a beautiful home. And so we want to be able to enjoy that. And we also want to be able to travel around the world. So what we're doing is we're positioning for that next generation to start to take over. And what he's doing is he's doing some things to position the company for growth. You guys can take a look at us at www.greatlakespmg.com. That's greatlakespmg.com. And that's our website. And, hey, we're here to help in any way that we can. Our goal is to really bring people with us. At the end of the day, man, I got a lovely wife. And you know what? I really enjoy being on the beaches of the world with her. But, man, I'll tell you, when my nephew came, we had a great time. Man, it was just so good of a time to have him with us. Well, my son, we were down in Mexico last year, and Tonia and I, we always take somebody. We basically, during our anniversary month, we travel every day. We're going to go on our 25th anniversary. So this year we'll be traveling for 25 days. Well, last year we were 24 days, but because of Corona, we couldn't bring anybody with us because normally we do 3 or 4 legs and we bring different people on different legs. Well, we're on one of the legs, and it was a Saturday or Friday or something. And I was like, you know what? I just called up my son and said, man, why don't you fly down here and hang out with us for a few days? And he was like, huh? I was like, man, you free. And you know what? He jumped on a plane, came down, hung out. And I mean, it was a great time. And that's what we're trying to do. And when that changed his life, honestly, because it was in where he's at in Mexico now is where we brought him to. When he came down here, he fell in love with it. And now he's been there now for a month or so. And I think he's going to be down there for a couple more months. But it literally changed his life, and it let him see something different. And then my nephew, same thing. It's like, hey, come on down, and it's like normal people can't do that. So what we're looking for, we're looking to help people to get free through passive income. And come hang out with us, because we like to hang out. We travel a lot, and we really would like to have some folks to travel with us. It's fun hanging out with my wife, but I'll tell you, when we have a bunch of people, it's the ball. Like I say, last year we had to kind of tame it down, but you know what? We're hoping this year, things will be better and we can get folks out. And of course, by 2022, it's going to be great. So we're looking for whoever. I'm hoping somebody that's listening today that maybe isn't positioned, they'll position themselves so they can come hang out with us. As you call it, Dale, the pom-pom lifestyle, right? Yeah. All right, I'll turn it back over.
Right. What you got for us, Tonia?
Same thing. I'm just excited for people coming on and be free with us. And even if you don't want to be free at this time, which I think you would, even if you just need some more disposable income, we're here to help with any kind of way that you can to use real estate as that vehicle to be free, disposable income, or whatever you need for your goals. If it involves money, we'll be able to help you. So.
Man, that's amazing. So we always end the show where Nick gives his a little summary of what he learned real quickly. And what I want to pose to the people is that this is real. This is real. You've just seen over the last hour and 15, 20 minutes, a story that actually has run for 25 years. And we're still together. And the reality is they're showing on these picture screens that brothers can't work together, sisters can't stay with brothers. And that's all a bunch of BS. This is the real life right here. And plugging into the system and being interdependent together, that's what real success is. So Nick, what you got for us, man? 60 seconds, and we're gonna let this wonderful couple go, and we're gonna do a part 2 because we haven't had enough time to talk about how the systems actually work connected together to go through the pathway of 7 Spheres of Money and get linked up with Great Lakes in order for us to talk about your online course that you're providing for people and through our members that they'll have access to as well. So Nick, take it away, bro.
Hey man, I don't even need a full 60 seconds, man. I can give you those quick bullet points there, man. The first thing, and I'm going order from how you all talked about it. The first one is the importance of having multiple streams of income. The second thing, learning the importance or how to become business owners. The next thing, not being afraid to learn fast forward. After that, the importance of being on the same page as your spouse. After that, the importance of maintaining that perseverance, especially in the midst of challenges, such as the 2008 recession, because every so often there's going to be a time where something like that comes up. Where we're going through something similar right now, or going through it, or coming out of it, or getting ready to go into something else. Maintain that perseverance and knowing when to stay the course. That was another key idea that came out of this conversation. And then taking calculated risks, along with that. And then lastly, how DJ always says the importance of plugging into a system, because that's what you all created, and that's what DJ created in the 7 Spheres of Money. And the 7 Spheres of Money and the Great Lakes Property Management Group are 2 systems that are working together, to help people become financially free. And yep, those are my remarks.
That's why I love having on the team. So we're gonna end it the way we always end it. First and foremost, I want to thank my moderator and my mentee, Nick Westbrooks, for putting this together. Second thing, I want to thank my best friends on the planet that we've been together through thick and thin. I know that my children never got to worry about something. If something happens to me, that they'll be there. And conversely, if something were to happen to them, I'd be in there standing the gap for them without even having to say it. It'd be just like that. And friends like that are very far in between to actually be together. That's the most important part. If you didn't get that, that's what it's really about, is that brothers keepers, and that's what we are. So, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, Tonia, for being an amazing, strong Black woman, to actually allow an amazing, strong Black man to be 100% himself. Allow an alpha man to be with an alpha woman and actually create prosperity, because this is the message that we need to have in our schools, in our families, and it's more important than it's ever been than it is today. So, I am humbled to have you guys on this program, and I want to just leave this message to our people, is that, hey, we want you to have the pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And we want you to come join us on the beaches of the World Club. But most importantly, we want you to be 100% an original copy of you and not a secondary, mirror of somebody else. And that's the problem with society today. So on behalf of Clarence Archibald III, RP, on behalf of his beloved Queen, Tonia Archibald, I'm DJ the Money Coach. You've been watching the Financial Expert Series with DJ the Money Coach, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for coming out again, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.